Hello there, friends. Hello, how are you? I hope you're doing great. It's Raquel from Our Infinite Nature, here to share about the upcoming Leo full moon that is happening on January 25th, 2024. But before I get into the energies of the Leo full moon, I want to share a little bit about a big astrological shift that's coming before the Leo full moon. But there's actually some similar themes between what's coming for us with this Leo full moon and what's happening with this big astrological shift that's happening on January 20th with the Sun and Pluto conjoining in the last degree of Capricorn on the 20th and then moving together into Aquarius. And this is a big shift. So on Saturday, January 20th, the Sun moves into Aquarius. The start of Aquarius season, Aquarius being the fixed air sign. What's really fascinating and kind of a once in a lifetime thing with this particular move into Aquarius season has to do with the planet Pluto. And Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth and transformation and kind of like weirdness, but power also. And Pluto takes a pretty long time to make big transitions. Pluto's been in Capricorn for the last 15 years. We did have Pluto move into Aquarius briefly back in March. Yeah, I believe it was March of 2023, just briefly. Pluto will be moving into Aquarius on January 20th and will remain in Aquarius until September 1st. September 1st, Pluto retrogrades back into Capricorn again, just in time for the presidential elections here in the United States. Like, I don't think you can get more literal than that, honestly. And then around November 19th, Pluto moves back into Aquarius and will remain in Aquarius for 20-ish years, for a long time. And there is a big shift, both personally and collectively, that's coming with this move into Aquarius. Now, Pluto, again, is this planet of great change, transformation, healing, power. But Pluto also really activates and triggers a lot of our wounds, a lot of our fears. I mean, as humans, we talk all the time about how we want change. And yet, and yet, we're terrified of change at the same time. And we're in a big time of change, definitely on the collective level and very much on the personal level too. And Pluto is this move from Pluto into Aquarius really is a big shift that's happening for us humans on the collective level. So for the last 15 years of Pluto being in Capricorn, there's been a big focus on our systems, on our structure, on our ambition, on a lot of Capricorn themes. With Pluto moving into Aquarius, we're bringing in all these Aquarian themes of social justice, of collective will, of revolution, of innovation, of progress, but also in the name of the whole. Aquarius is a very like the collective focused planet, which is really interesting because the kind of companion or the kind of opposite of Aquarius is Leo, which is where the moon is moving into with the full moon. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. So just to take note, with this move of Pluto into Aquarius and with the Pluto conjoining the sun as it's making this move, don't be surprised if you feel a little activated around this date. If you're feeling a little bit quote unquote triggered. I don't really like that word, but I don't have a better word to describe it. But if you're feeling a little bit more emotionally wounded, if you're feeling a little bit more impatient, if you're just feeling old stories come up, old traumas come up, this is part of this shift. And it's because it's giving us a really, really beautiful opportunity for healing. And when we're talking about healing, it's really important for us to note that we can't heal that which we won't even address or look at. Healing something requires awareness, requires us to see the thing and be like, oh, that oozing wound needs some antibiotic, right? As opposed to just slapping something over the wound so we can't even see it and pretending like it doesn't exist. So when we're feeling ourselves feeling emotionally, physically, mentally triggered, this is an invitation for us to look a little deeper, get a little bit more curious, and be open to moving through those sensations, moving through those emotions to come back to our center, to come back to our wholeness. And one thing, and this is the theme that is very, what's the word I'm looking for? This is the theme that really merges and kind of moves from this Pluto into Aquarius into the Leo full moon. And the theme that I identified intuitively for the Leo full moon, which is that all of our parts are what make us whole. All of the parts, even the parts that we don't necessarily want or like, those are still part of our wholeness, and to really recognize that. So let's talk a little bit about this Leo full moon. So the Leo full moon is coming on January 25th. I want to say it's like 9:30 in the morning, but I have to check on that. But it's in the morning. This full moon is going to kind of get us a little bit more focused on ourself. I mean, Leo is the sign of the self. Leo is all about me, and Aquarius is all about we. And honestly, our balance, our homeostasis is really in the balancing of those two energies, of balancing our own personal needs, our own self with the collective, with the needs of the collective, and recognizing that, when we do for ourselves from an aligned place, that actually does benefit the collective as well. And when we do for the collective from an aligned place, that benefits us on a personal level too. So this Leo full moon might have us feeling a little bit in our ego. One thing we might notice is we're a little bit more self-aware around this full moon, and this could be in positive ways, and it can also be in not so positive ways, and it might be a little bit of both. Leo can trigger pride, and pride in itself is not a bad thing. In fact, for many of us, it's a really beneficial thing for us to allow ourselves to be proud of ourselves. When we move from an energy of feeling proud of ourselves and proud of our achievements into an energy of prideful, which is a little bit more like self-righteous, then we can get into more of the shadow sides of it. And we might be feeling both ways with this particular Leo full moon. And that's okay. We're allowed to feel what we feel. This Leo full moon reminds us that our wholeness is not dependent on some form of moral or spiritual or even physical achievement. Our wholeness is just who we are, with all of the complexities and idiosyncrasies and flaws, all of it in there. That makes us whole. That is what wholeness is. It's encompassing all of the parts. And when we talk about full moon versus new moon or waxing or waning moons, we're really talking about our perception of the moon here on Earth. Because in reality, the moon is always whole. She's always up there in her wholeness, in her fullness. It's just sometimes Earth gets in the way and we can't see that fullness. So it's just our view and our perception. And that is the same reminder for each and every one of us. Each and every one of us is inherently whole. It's just our perception that makes us feel broken or like partial sometimes. But in reality, we are always whole. And what's actually going to help us feel more into our wholeness is the embracing and the acceptance of all of our parts, of the higher self, the soul, and the ego, not trying to kill the ego or repress the ego, but recognizing that the ego is a part of who we are and that it's here to help us feel safe, feel secure. And how can we actually work with the ego for our benefit as opposed to resisting it or fighting against it or trying to kill a part of ourselves? I'm not a big ego death person, as you can tell. So, working with the energies of this Leo full moon, of Aquarius season, and of the Pluto moving into Aquarius, as I was feeling into this moon, I got really excited because one of the things that came out as a really great way to move through and work through this particular energy shift that's coming for us all is through the power of our curiosity. And I got really excited about that because curiosity is the word that I identified as the theme for myself for 2024. And to see curiosity already coming in so strong here in January is just like, makes me feel very confirmed in my choice or my recognition of curiosity being a really, really valuable, powerful energy for us in this year. So curiosity is a really great way to work through the energies of this particular lunation, of this full moon in Leo. With the ego being a little triggered with this full moon, one thing that I picked up intuitively is that our comparison is going to maybe be a little heightened, like noticing that we're comparing ourselves to others a lot and feeling feeling like I'm not as good as. Like that is something that can definitely be triggered with this particular Leo full moon. But what we can do instead is shift our perspective. So when we notice that comparison is coming up, when we notice that we're feeling that like envy or that jealousy that comparison can bring up, we can say, hey, what is this comparison actually telling me? Like get curious. What what is this jealousy or this envy or this comparison I'm making, this person I'm comparing myself to? What is the soul-led desire? What is it that I'm actually wanting that this person has? So we can get curious in that. And then the perception shift can be around, can this comparison be something that is expansive for me versus constrictive for me? So for example, when we find ourselves comparing ourselves to other, instead of going directly into the energy of they're better than me, I'm not as good as, what if we actually allow ourselves to use that comparison to be like, wow, that person has something or is embodying something that I want. And the fact that they have that and that I'm seeing it and I'm wanting it is actually proof to me that that's available to me too. This is something attainable for me too. And that's how we can move the energy of comparison into an energy of expansion and growth and our own capability versus using comparison as another tool to negate ourselves or shame or blame ourselves. So that's a lot. It's a lot. And I got to tell you, friends, there is a lot coming with this particular astrological shift. And I am speaking of it because it's two shifts that we're going to be feeling in the next week. The first one being the Sun Pluto conjunction and them moving into Aquarius. That's a big energetic shift we're all going to feel. And then that shift also just kind of blends right in with the shift that we're going to be feeling with the full moon in Leo. But the theme throughout all of this is a recognition that is all of our parts. It's an acceptance of all of our parts that actually helps us feel whole. So how can we be in more acceptance, in more self-love, in more unconditional love? Just another one quick thing, and then I promise I'm done. Leo governs the heart. The heart chakra itself is the energy of unconditional love and acceptance. And judgment and comparison and resistance take us out of that energy of unconditional love. Unconditional love is just that, love without conditions. Love without conditions, which means we love our laziness as much as we love our productivity. We love our envy as much as we love our inspiration, right? Like we love all parts of ourself. This is a big, big energy shift that's coming for all of us. And from a collective level, with this move from Pluto into Aquarius, there is a big focus on revolution, on social justice, but also on progress. And so one thing that's really important for us to note as we're already seeing social justice and revolution and like the power to the people energy really strong already since March with, Pluto kind of peeking into Aquarius and then coming out. We're already in this energy. But one thing that's really important for us to take note of, because this can go in two different ways, this energy of Pluto and Aquarius. And always, as always, the choice is up to us. So one thing to really take note of is to recognize that this call for social justice, this desire for social justice, is it being acted upon in ways that are actually leading to more inclusion, more diversity, more innovation, and more progress? Or is this call for social justice actually creating more division, more separation, and more force and power over as opposed to power of? These are big questions for us to look at and understand as we move into these energies. And as always, the choice of the energies that we choose to engage in, connect with, and amplify, that's up to us. That's up to us. So, friends, if you want more on this particular big energy shift that's coming, if you want some journal prompts and to just read into more of all that is coming with this move into Aquarius season, Pluto in Aquarius, and this Leo full moon, please check out my Moonblog. I'll link it below. I hope you have a beautiful, illuminating, and self-loving and life-loving full moon. Thank you so much for being here. Please make sure to follow, subscribe, share if you like this content, and, let me know in the comments how this resonates for you. Thanks, friends. Bye. See you next time.